Do you love movies? Do you love animation? Do you love video games? Well, you're in for a treat, because when someone at Warner Brothers had the genius idea to put all three of those mediums together, they gifted us with Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase came out in 2001, and the gimmick behind this one involved the gang getting trapped inside a video game, so it's a no-brainer why I had to pick this movie up as a kid. I think my mum bought it for me in Woolworths, and just saying that makes me feel old. But I still have the trusty VHS tape to share with you all today. Now, one interesting thing about this movie is that it was the only animated Scooby-Doo film to get a video game adaptation on the PlayStation. I did play it for an hour over my cousin's house once, but we were so hopped up on Penguin Chuckers and Watsits at the time, I don't actually recall that much about it. But with the whole film being themed around video games, it feels like an appropriate time to go back and revisit both the movie and the game all in the same video. That's right, it's the first ever double review, but we'll put the game to one side for a moment and talk about the movie first. This tape is getting pretty old now, and it shows, because the title is written in Comic Sans. Somewhere out there, a graphic designer is weeping. Well, hope you like trailers, because this tape is a chunky one. Mr. Copyright is back again, and so is Harry Potter. Some things never change. Actually, it's easy to forget how much hype surrounded this movie at the time. Some people went crazy waiting for it.
I did my waiting! 12 years of it!
There's also a trailer for See Spot Run, one of those quote-unquote amusing dog movies that were all over the place in the early 2000s.
This is a story about three unlikely heroes. A bulldog,
Agent 11, the top canine agent in America.
You know, the ones with wacky hijinks where nobody has a brain cell. It's so of the time it hurts. Next, an extremely retro trailer for The Wizard of Oz. And when I say retro, I mean retro. It must be from the 40s or something.
Every glorious adventure has been recaptured and painted with a rainbow.
I wonder why they picked such an old trailer. It definitely makes a contrast with the last one, doesn't it? Maybe The Wizard of Oz was just too classy to jazz it up for the early 2000s. The next trailer is for Pokemon 3, and for someone who wasn't exactly a big Pokemon expert, these trailers always got me hyped for the movies. As soon as that mysterious narrator started going off about legendary new Pokemon, I was hooked.
In a secret underground chamber, a strange and ancient Pokemon race exists.
Interestingly, this trailer has a different subtitle for the movie, The Lord of the Unknown Tower, which I don't believe they used anywhere else, but in the movie itself, it was Spell of the Unknown. Well, whatever they called it, I didn't care, I just needed to see new monsters.
Pokemon 3, the movie, The Lord of the Unknown Tower. The mystery will be revealed 2001.
Oh, come on, I can't wait that long.
I did my waiting!
This is the point when you know this tape is a marathon. Now we get a promo for a bunch of Mary, Kate and Ashley tapes.
It's double the fun and double the trouble.
I've already talked about these two before, but it's still strange to me how popular they were at the time, even though I don't recall any girls in school ever bringing them up. But if you were a UK fan of Mary, Kate and Ashley, feel free to correct me.
Look out for them on video.
Just when you thought you were safe from the trailers, here come the ads. First up is a promo for Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network, pretty much showing off the show and all the movies with some funky music. You know, I think I'm getting a thing for funky, obscure promo music. It's a topic that needs more love. This is the type of thing they should have put over that Wizard of Oz trailer. It's so fitting.
Catch Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network!
Finally, there's a promo for the video game on the PS1. For me, this was always the big thing about this tape, since it gives you a bunch of hints and tips on how to play the game.
Control both Scooby and Shaggy as you battle spooky monsters, avoid amazing obstacles, and discover secret items.
It's easy to forget how exciting this kind of thing could be back then. Anytime I'd see a video game ad on a tape, I'd be desperate to have it. It made me jealous, like they were showing off all the fun you were missing out on.
THQ has a new game out called Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase for the PlayStation game console.
Well, since I'll be reviewing this game right after the movie, let's hope it lives up to the hype, because I've waited long enough to play it.
I did my waiting!
Oh, shut up already.
Available now from THQ for the PlayStation game console and Game Boy Advance.
Movie time, and for some reason, the logo in the movie doesn't match up with the one on the cover. My OCD isn't happy, so we start off in a mysterious lab late at night, where Professor, Einstein is hard at work with his two trusty students.
Any progress, Eric? Sorry, Professor Kaufman. There's still something wrong with the program.
They're working on a big project that involves some kind of giant laser, because you can't have science without giant lasers. But when they fire their laser, it accidentally beams a deadly phantom virus into the lab. He's a sweet, charming kind of guy. As the virus attacks, we catch up with Scooby-Doo and the gang, who once again seem to be travelling through picturesque nostalgia land. And like any self-respecting person on a long car ride, Shaggy is busy playing a video game on his not Game Boy. It's more like one of those cheap game consoles you'd find at the back of Toys R Us.
Like I hope I do better on Eric's game than this one.
It's so impressive that Eric received a grant for his computer project.
Doesn't surprise me.
Also, one thing I forgot to mention in my last Scooby-Doo review is that Alien Invaders was the final performance for Mary Kay Bergman as Daphne before her tragic death in 1999, so for this movie, they had to replace her with her good friend and mighty mistress of voice acting, Grey DeLisle.
We just hiked through miles of jungle and still can't find the Scooby snacks.
She's so good you can barely notice the difference. The gang are visiting the local university, but they end up running into a grumpy security guard called Officer Wembley, who doesn't seem too impressed with these meddling kids.
I don't like a bunch of punks running around my university.
Actually, why does he treat them like kids? What are they, like 40 now? They're probably older than he is. The gang are here to visit their friend Eric, who's been developing a video game based on their past adventures.
Like, check it out! We're digital! Well, original.
I suppose this is an example of Scooby-Doo trying to keep up with the times, what with gaming growing at an exponential rate even back then, so they had to try and appeal to our 6th generation kids. But it was a fun idea to try blending a video game into the movie. It certainly had me engaged.
You need to battle monsters or villains while trying to find a box of Scooby snacks on each level.
Meanwhile, Eric's lab partner Bill is busy working on a baseball video game, which is about as boring as it gets.
Now this is a game you can get into.
These are the type of games where they have to do crazy things with the soundtrack just to make them seem interesting. Like, remember this golf one?
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here.
Ugh, give me Tony Hawk any day.
I'm a huge baseball fan myself.
You have good taste, Fred.
The gang want to check out the Scooby game, but Professor Einstein isn't happy and stops them from playing it.
No one is playing the game until we get rid of our problem.
He explains that his students have also been working on a secret project with the laser, using it to beam objects in and out of cyberspace. Kind of like Willy Wonka vision without all the hassle. But when someone beamed in the phantom virus, the professor only managed to repel him by using a big magnet, and the virus is still running loose somewhere in the university.
This virus is a threat to the entire world.
The gang split up to search for the virus and...
Guys, I didn't see how we were gonna split up.
Like, do we ever do it any other way?
This is probably when the franchise was the most self-aware.
Why do they bother keeping this old junk?
Hey, if it wasn't for nostalgia addicts like me keeping this old junk, I wouldn't be reviewing this. They find the phantom virus down in the basement and try to fight him off with their super magnets.
Get back, you creepy thingy!
Creepy thingy?
But the creepy thingy escapes, and it's time once again for Scooby and Shaggy to stuff their faces, because it wouldn't be a Scooby-Doo movie without igniting my appetite. Seriously, this is the only movie that makes me want to put whipped cream on a hot dog.
The cafeteria ran out of food, and we're still hungry.
But when the phantom virus finds them, we get another wacky chase with the cover of the Scooby-Doo theme song. Well, if you can call some of this singing, it sounds a bit weird.
Where are you?
Scooby and Shaggy get chased by the phantom virus into the lab, but when someone triggers the laser, the whole gang gets zapped into their very own video game.
They'll have to play through all the levels to get out.
You're kidding me.
I wish he was.
Level 1 is the moon, and while it's fun at first to be hopping with less gravity, the phantom virus is there to spike the difficulty.
Let's play ball.
I think this game might be a bit glitchy though, since Velma starts speaking in Daphne's voice.
Remember what Eric said? We need to find the box of Scooby snacks.
I didn't know Grey DeLisle was that good. To get to the next level, the gang has to find the box of Scooby snacks at the end. Nice product placement.
It's only the first level of the game. It's supposed to be easy.
Clearly Shaggy hasn't played Driver, has he? The gang get into a moon buggy chase with the phantom virus and his robot things. But Scooby manages to find the snacks and they get sent to the next level. This time they're in the Roman Colosseum, facing off against a bunch of skull guys with some truly witty dialogue. It turns out a lion has the Scooby snacks, leading to a pretty crazy chariot race.
Leo! Leo!
Oh, that was too close.
Yeah, mainly there's just a lot of action here, so there's not too much to say. Fred wrangles with the lion and gets the snacks, sending them to level 3, which is set in prehistoric times.
I take back what I said. Rome is lovely this time of year.
I guess that technically makes this the Land Before Time 7.5? Their mission is to find the Scooby Snacks at the top of an erupting volcano, because you can't have a video game without a lava level, it would just be illegal. To get there, they hitch a ride on Manny from Ice Age, but the Phantom Virus is hot on their trail, chasing them on top of a T-Rex.
Hang on, guys, we're almost there.
When they get there, they end up getting stuck between a rock and a hard place, or, to be more accurate, a T-Rex and a volcano. That's a pretty bad hand right there. But when Scooby notices a poor trapped pterodactyl, he races to help it. I mean, how can you resist helping anything that makes adorable noises like this? Scooby rescues the little guy and finds the snacks, zapping them into a montage. Yes, apparently they got bored of coming up with longer sequences for the other levels in this game, so we speedrun through them instead. But on the bright side, we do get a pretty cool song here as they battle their way through the levels. A song that can only be known as... I mean, there's just something amusing about it. Such a random, meaningless string of words, but it just sticks in my head. Who sung this madness? So the gang makes it to the final level in about 2 minutes, which is pretty good by speedrunning standards.
Aw, man! We're still in the game! And I thought we were home free!
They're in the big city, and while everything seems normal at first, things take a disturbing turn when they run into an innocent old woman.
Excuse us, ma'am. We were wondering...
Surprise!
Am I the only one who gets Green Goblin vibes from this guy?
You're pathetically predictable, like a moth to the flame.
The gang try to hide from the virus by running into the malt shop, and they end up bumping into their video game doubles, who all have designs based on earlier incarnations of the characters.
You're the characters in Eric's video game. And you're from the real world.
Did I really wear that years ago?
Nice ascot. Works for me.
Shaggy even has his red shirt. Remember when he used to wear that for a while? I wonder why they changed it.
I guess it's been a while since we've seen Eric. He hasn't seen our fashion changes.
This is a really fun idea to call back to the past of Scooby-Doo, even if I don't think Scooby ever wore a red collar. I think that's the only thing they had to make up. Since the virus is a threat to both their worlds, they decide to team up and take him down, tracking the Scooby Snacks to a big shiny amusement park. I wish there was a place like this near me when I was growing up. The gang checks out the baseball cage, but the star player isn't who he appears to be.
Hey man, great swing!
Thanks. Want my autograph?
What's up with all the disguises here?
What about my generous proposal? Are you in or are you out?
The Phantom Virus has lured them into a trap, and the gang is confronted by a bunch of monsters from the past, which, again, is a very creative idea.
Look! It's old Iron Face!
It's fun to see them matching up against some of these old monsters again, and this time they're real, not just goons in masks, making them easily the superior versions.
He's real!
The gang splits up to tackle the monsters, giving them some time to interact with their respective doubles around the theme park. The Shaggies trip up the Tar Monster, the Scoobies put Jaguaro in a spin, the Velmas freeze old Iron Face in hot wax, and the Daphnes trap the Creeper in the Funhouse. The Freds even fight Gator Ghoul on top of a roller coaster, and have to jump onto a bouncy castle to save themselves, where they turn into Homer Simpson. We also get another montage with a catchy song. There's certainly a lot of funky early 2000s music on this tape. The soundtrack slams, and it's just fun to see the characters screwing with the monsters on all the rides. It's like a trip to the theme park without all the lines. The gang escape the monsters, but Shaggy remembers that he still has one of the super magnets.
You had that magnet with you all this time and forgot about it?
3 cheers for dramatic convenience. Since the Cyber Gang is also affected by the magnet, the original gang has to go it alone and find the Scooby Snacks inside a video arcade. In other words, the perfect location for a final boss fight. And of course, the snacks are right on top of the very game they're playing. So it's basically like a game, within a movie, within a tape, within a case, within real life. Makes sense to me.
Ready to play some games?
But of course, the Phantom Virus is there, leading to a crazy battle where all the machines come to life and attack them. It's enjoyable stuff. Maybe not Ben Ravencroft levels of craziness, but still enjoyable. It seems like the Phantom Virus has them trapped with his Dragon Ball Z laser blasts, but Cyber Scooby arrives and distracts the virus, allowing the real Scooby to grab the Scooby Snacks and delete him for good.
Peter, don't tell Harry.
With the Phantom Virus defeated, the gang bid farewell to their cyber doubles and return to the real world.
Rise, Scooby!
However, they still have to work out who's responsible for beaming them into the game in the first place, and with the Phantom Virus spitting out so many baseball references, there's only one clear suspect. Professor Einstein. I knew it was him.
Preposterous!
No, it turns out it's actually Bill, who can somehow design a deadly virus, but can't figure out how to turn a doorknob. He tries to escape, but the gang catches him, and Bill strikes out.
Professor Kaufman chose your video design over mine.
Students are all equal, Bill.
Is that really the motivation for the bad guy this time? My video game is better than yours? Seems like a typical gamer argument.
If it wasn't for
us meddling kids!
But just when you think the movie is over, it actually keeps going. Yeah, there's this weird thing after the credits where the gang start talking about their favourite scenes from making the movie, like they're just actors or something.
That's why my favorite part of Scooby-Doo and the cyber chase was shooting in the prehistoric jungle.
Like Daphne starts talking about sunbathing in the Arctic. How does that work? And somehow, Scooby starts playing the game, within the movie, within the real life of these actors who are actually cartoon characters, within the movie, within the tape, within the case, within real life. Also, just to finish off, I should probably mention that at the very end of the tape, there are actually a couple of classic Scooby-Doo episodes. They did this for most of these early movies on VHS, and there's not that much to say about them, since they just follow the same old formula, but it's an interesting bonus. It's like they tried to pack as much content onto these tapes as possible, just to make sure we could stay up a little while longer before bedtime. Just seeing all that generic copyright text still makes me think of falling asleep. So that was Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, and yeah, it's good, clean fun. I always enjoyed the video game theme of this one, and while it was probably an attempt to appeal to kids of the time, it's also strangely self-aware of the franchise's long-running history. There are so many callbacks to the past with the character designs and the monsters, it feels like a great blend of both the old and the new, and a fitting celebration of Scooby-Doo history. But sadly for me, this was pretty much game over when it came to these movies, and this is my cutoff point for childhood Scooby nostalgia. After this film, the show What's New Scooby-Doo came along on Cartoon Network, and despite the catchy Simple Plan theme song, I never really got into watching it full time, and the movies generally went back to having monsters in masks, which more or less killed my interest. I think that's why I'm so fond of these first four movies in particular. They took a bit of a gamble with the Scooby-Doo franchise, keeping a lot of the charming aspects we know and love, while spicing up the formula with more dangerous monsters. And, like I've said before, once you've seen mindless zombies, evil witches, aliens from outer space, and crazy viruses, it makes it pretty difficult to go back to people dressed up for Halloween. But that's just me. Still, whatever form it takes, Scooby-Doo's legacy continues to live on, and long may it continue.
Rise, Scooby!
Well, you've seen the movie, so now let's play the game based on the movie, based on the game, within the game, and yeah, you get the idea. Like I said, this game came out for the original PlayStation, and this will be my first time giving it a proper playthrough. And given how hyped that ad on the VHS used to make me, this had better be good. I mean, on the back of the cover it says, "Battle fierce bosses with pies," which is certainly a selling point. Actually, I want to talk about this case. You see that big crack through the middle? Yeah, that's a trademark of PS1 game cases. In the US, they were more like CD cases, but over here, PS1 games always came in these fragile plastic boxes, and it was virtually impossible not to break them. Almost all my PS1 games have some kind of crack or fracture. This is why so many kids would just keep the discs in a CD wallet. Breaking them was practically a feature. Alright, let's pop this disc in and play Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. Or, as it's known among the hardcore fans, Scooby-Doo and I Cyber Jago. Yeah! This game was developed by an obscure company called Art, and if you've ever wondered whether video games are art, well, there's your proof. Of course, before we even start, my eyes were instantly drawn to the movie trailer on the menu. It's so beautifully bit-crushed.
Scooby-Doo and the gang go digital to delete a ghostly phantom virus in deepest cyberspace.
and for some reason it has footage from Zombie Island layered on top of it. Maybe the movie wasn't quite ready yet. The plot of the game only barely follows the movie, and by barely, I mean not at all. There's no explanation for why the gang are stuck inside their own video game, they just are. And at first you might think, oh, well, maybe this is meant to be the game inside the movie, so you're actually playing as the cyber gang and not the real one. I mean, Fred, Velma, and Daphne do have their classic costumes on, but if that were the case, Shaggy would have a red shirt like in the movie, so they're just completely messed up here.
I've spread my evil virus all over this game.
Also, why is the Phantom Virus purple? Did they even watch the movie? He's clearly blue. Actually, on the cover of both the game and the movie, he's white. Could anyone get this guy right? And what's going on with this cover in the first place? Like, I don't remember the part in the movie when Scooby and Shaggy try squeezing themselves through an old computer screen, and they're never trapped by whatever those things are. Basically, the Phantom Virus challenges you to make it through the game, and you have to beat all the levels to stop him. You start off in this control room, which is just a blatant rip-off of the warp room from Crash Bandicoot, so welcome back to the land of the rip-offs. Even Velma acts as a save point just like Coco in Crash 3, so there's no denying it. The first level is Ancient Japan, so already we're clashing with the level order in the movie, where level 1 was on the moon. Much like the Lilo and Stitch game, you just have to get to the end of each level while dodging obstacles and enemies along the way. And I hate to keep bringing up the Crash thing, but that's exactly what it is. A forced perspective 3D platformer, and the more I talk about Crash, the more I just wish I was playing it instead. Now, while Lilo and Stitch was too slippery with the controls, I think this game is too stiff. The characters move really awkwardly, and jumping never feels satisfying. There's not much in the way of abilities here either. Scooby can squash boxes with a bounce move, but you have to kill enemies with this pie-throwing attack, which, I remind you, is a major feature of this game. Other than that, there's no real power-ups here. You can collect Scooby snacks for extra lives and cheeseburgers for health, but this is a really basic game. Even if you pick everything up, all you get is points, and who cares about points in a game like this? This is the PS1, not the Atari 2600. But despite being so basic, for some reason, the game feels the need to interrupt you every 5 seconds with tutorial messages from the gang.
When you come to large gaps in the path, be sure to use the X button to jump over them.
And why they're talking to you through an old Tamagotchi, I have no idea. So the first couple levels are pretty easy. You just have to dodge the ninjas and make it past the giant sumo wrestlers. And reach the box of Scooby snacks at the end, so at least they got that part of the movie right. Each section of the game is split up into 2 acts in a boss fight. You fight the samurai guy first. All you have to do is wait for your chance to hit him with a pie. It even tells you in bright green letters, like they think we're idiots or something. And when Scooby wins, he does the dog dance.
Do the dog dance, dog dance, dog dance.
Level 2 is Rome, matching up nicely with the movie, but this is where the problems really start to begin. The jumping here is just abysmal. The camera angle makes it almost impossible to judge where you're supposed to land, and it feels like you always just miss the platforms. Sometimes I jump too far, sometimes I don't jump far enough. It never lines up right. And even worse, sometimes the skeleton monsters can knock you down in the middle of a jump. Oh, come on, that's cheating. This is so annoying, the game demo doesn't even bother to try getting through the level. Yeah, Shaggy just stands there like, screw this. The next boss fight puts you in the Colosseum, where the skeletons start pelting you with spears before the lion attacks. Again, you just have to dodge the lion and wait for your chance to hit him. But then right after you beat the lion, the skeletons try to impale you again. How are you supposed to know that's gonna happen the first time? It's so cheap. Level 3 is the North Pole, the second to last level in the movie, so the order is completely out of whack here. I find this level kind of amusing, especially the cartwheeling polar bears. Look at them go, they're funny. There's also seals throwing snowballs at you, so I guess these guys really don't want Shaggy around. Like, what did he do to offend them so much? But then it just gets worse once you reach the sledding section. I have no idea how to control this. It feels like you slide from one end of the screen to the next without even touching the controller. It's a complete mess, and there are surfing penguins constantly getting in your way. Like, I think you're in the wrong movie, guys. There's also this really annoying jump that I have no idea how to clear. I mashed every button on the controller, and Shaggy just kept falling. In the end, I only got through just by sheer willpower. I don't even know. You fight the Phantom Virus on top of a polar bear, but this might be even more uncontrollable. You're constantly sliding on the ice, and strangely, that makes dodging his attacks a little bit tricky. You just have to flail around and hope you don't get hit before you take him down. Level 4 is the prehistoric jungle, and now you have to fight a lot of huge dinos. But despite being some of the most vicious creatures in history, Scooby is able to annihilate them with a single pie.
What killed the dinosaurs?
Pie, that's what. But throwing the pies is so slow and boring, I just started trying to dodge around the enemies instead. And then we get to this section, where you have to cross a damaged bridge to make it to the other side. As a kid, I always thought this looked hard in the ad on the tape, and wow, I was right. Jumping is just a nightmare, and with the controls being so imprecise, I have no idea where Scooby is going to land. It feels like I'm just guessing most of the time. Levels like this are hard enough to beat with good controls, so this feels like the longest bridge in the world. The boss here is the T-Rex, and lucky me, since the ad gave us tips for this one.
Be sure to wait until the chance symbol shows up on the screen. That's your chance to throw a pie at the boss and get one step closer to defeating him.
Wow, just like all the other bosses. Level 5 is the big city, actually the last level in the movie, because who cares about the right order by this point? Already things get off to a bad start with Shaggy being on a skateboard made out of glitches and broken dreams. It's impossible to control. You just bump into everything, like Shaggy is a magnet for every object in the level. Tony Hawk even rides by at one point, just to remind you of a better game you could be playing instead. But once you get off the board, you realize you're in Crazy Town. What's with these breakdancers spinning like maniacs across the floor? If I saw someone doing that in real life, I'd be seriously concerned. Eventually, you make your way into this secret lab full of lasers and conveyor belts. It's actually not too bad. But then strangely, you run into Officer Wembley, who chases you down the hallway. Wait, why is he here? Are we still inside the game, or in the lab building in the movie? Did the people who made the game know anything about this film? The robot boss here is a little different. Actually, it's an old Scooby-Doo bad guy, which is interesting since he wasn't one of the old foes featured in the movie. Basically, you have to dodge his bombs and hit him before the shutter comes down, but it's such a small window of opportunity, it gets annoying really fast. And the conveyor belts are constantly changing, so you end up falling half the time. At least it's different from the other bosses, but it's still not much fun. Level 6 takes you to Egypt, right inside the pyramids, and it's the same old story. The jumping is a pain, and now you're being hounded by bats, which makes it even more of a mess. I ended up losing all my lives and getting my first game over here, so I got to see the Phantom Virus laughing right in my face. Don't mock me. I gave it another shot and managed to make it to the boss. The Phantom Virus is back again, only it doesn't fight you directly. Instead, you have to throw pies at these mummies to knock them off the edge. But it takes forever! The moment you get rid of one, another mummy respawns, and the whole thing starts all over again. You just have to get lucky and try to get rid of them both at the same time. Once they're gone, his shield goes down, and you can throw a pie at him. But it's only for like 2 seconds, so it's barely enough time. But every time you hit the Phantom Virus, even more mummies appear, and they get bigger too, so you don't even have any room to move around, and they're always hitting you. I mean, look at this, it's just a gaggle of mummies. This one took me ages to get past, and how does the game reward you for beating it? By having the Phantom Virus run right at the screen and give you this big nightmare face. Wow, thanks. At least that means this game is almost over now. The final section is the amusement park, just like the movie, and by this point, I was really just desperate to get this over with. This was such a fun location in the movie, with so many great set pieces, but none of that creativity is present here. Instead, all you get is more annoying platforming challenges, and a trip to a haunted house with generic sheep ghosts, and Dracula for some reason. He wasn't even in this movie, I mean, come on. Where's the tar monster, or the creeper? And what's the Pendulum of Doom doing here?
I did not order the Pendulum of Doom. It's overkill. Get rid of it.
These levels go on for eternity, and easily the worst part is this hedge maze right at the end, because I just love walking for miles, only to find out I've gone down a blind alley. The final killer is these catapult things. You'd think they'd just snap you onto them and send you in the right direction, but no! You have to control where you're going, and it's borderline unplayable. You just get flung straight into the water and soak up all your lives. Now, I love platforming video games, it might even be my favourite genre, but when the platforming is completely broken, that's a serious problem. I swear, this game was made by the Phantom Virus. And on another very important note, why is Robin Hood in this game? After bashing my head against the wall for an hour, I finally made it to the end, so now it's time to make the Phantom Virus pay for putting us through all this torture. Now, you'd think they might just recreate the cool final arcade battle in the movie, it is gaming themed after all, but no! Apparently, we're in the Matrix or something instead, of course. And if you thought the last boss was annoying, well, meet this one. The Phantom Virus just kind of floats around, and you have to be lucky enough not to get hit by him. I have no idea what the pattern is here. He starts firing lightning at you, which is easy enough to run away from, but then he splits into 3 clones, and you have to work out the right one to hit, because that's always fun in the heat of a battle. If you make it that far, he grows into a giant, and honestly, I don't even think you can dodge his form here. No matter what I do, he always hits me, so you just have to hope you have enough health before he opens himself up for an attack. Finally, I beat him, and the Phantom Virus gets destroyed by Fred zapping him with his Game Boy Color. Yeah, just like the movie. Even the credits are a letdown. Granted, you do get to see pictures of you beating all the bosses, but the music is just the same old Scooby-Doo theme. Come on, where's... At least hearing that would have cheered me up a bit. Well, that was the Cyber Chase game, and what a contrast from the movie. I thought the film was a good bit of fun, but this is the exact opposite. There's no fun whatsoever here, and it's such a clunky, frustrating experience. The whole game felt like a chore to get through. I could never get comfortable with it, and it just seemed like I was barely forcing my way through each level, rather than actually building my skills. Not only that, but it barely even resembles the movie it's based on. I mean, the Phantom Virus is there, but none of the plot makes any sense. The level order is all wrong compared to the movie, and there aren't even enough levels in the first place. In the movie there were 10 levels, but here there are only 7, and that was with splitting up one level from the movie into 2. Honestly, I don't think the developers even knew much about the movie. They probably just had to rush this one through so it would come out the same time as the film, and it shows. It's nothing more than a lazy cash grab, and now I realise I was lucky I never had this game as a kid, no matter how much that ad on the tape made me want it. Sorry gang, but it's game over for this one. So, that concludes this first ever double review, and I guess you could say it's a game of two halves. A fun start, but a dreadful payoff. And I'm not sure about you, but I know which half I definitely prefer. So let's say hello Cyber Dream, and goodbye to this Cyber Nightmare. Thanks for watching, and look out for more reviews coming soon.